Of all the mysterious regions in the world, the Bermuda Triangle, which spans between Puerto Rico, Florida, and the island of Bermuda, is perhaps the most fascinating. Its history is littered with stories of disappearances and strange encounters, and today no one can explain why dangerous and frightening phenomena are localized there. Here are 10 real unsolved Bermuda Triangle mysteries. Number 10 is the Tiger Star. The Tiger Star was a passenger aircraft which vanished without a trace on the 30th of January 1948. At the time, investigators and journalists were beginning to turn their attention to the Bermuda Triangle and the occurrences which were taking place there. The Star Tiger mystery was the story which catapulted the Bermuda Triangle into the public consciousness. The plane was traveling from England to Bermuda when its radio officer, Robert Tuck, requested a radio bearing from Bermuda. This suggests that the plane was off course. However, it would be the last communication the Star Tiger ever made. The plane vanished without a trace, and the only other possible sighting of it came from a ship at sea, the SS Troubadour. If their sighting was correct, something very wrong happened to that plane, as it was miles away from its intended flight path. Number 9 is the Sylvia L Aza. In 1976, a 179-meter ship bearing the name Sylvia L Aza became the subject of one of Bermuda Triangle's greatest mysteries. The cargo ship was carrying 37 passengers, along with a large cargo of iron ore. The ore was being shipped from Brazil to Philadelphia, but unfortunately this route took the Sylvia S Aza into the Bermuda Triangle, from which it would never return. No one is certain when the ship vanished, but when the company which owned the Sylvia L Aza asked the Coast Guard to search for it, only a few pieces of debris were found, including a lifeboat which had not been deployed by hand. Reporting in the New York Times, a Coast Guard spokesperson observed the biggest mystery of all: a ship that size would not sink quickly. The crew should have had time to message for help, but were silenced by this tragic mystery. Number 8 is MU-2B. Some of the Bermuda Triangle's most perplexing mysteries seem distant by today's standards. However, the true horror of this region is that it continues to cause havoc each and every year. Flight MU-2B in 2017 is an unnerving example of this. This private aircraft was carrying 40-year-old Jennifer Blumen and her family. Leaving on May 15th from the Rafael Hernandez Airport in Puerto Rico, Jennifer's plane should have landed in Florida soon after to refuel, but ground staff quickly realized that the plane was missing. It took days of searching before any debris was found in the water. Even then, most of the plane had vanished. What perplexed investigators most was that there was no evidence of pilot fault, mechanical failure, or bad weather conditions, leaving many to speculate purely on the destructive influence of the Bermuda Triangle itself. Number 7 is Flight 19. On December 15, 1945, the Bermuda Triangle's most famous disappearance occurred. 5 torpedo bomber planes vanished while on a training mission in the Triangle. The bombers were carrying 14 airmen, and at the time they were being led by Navy Lieutenant Charles Carroll Taylor. Radio transmissions from the aircraft indicated that their compasses had stopped working for an unknown reason. The crews were unable to find their bearing, and the last transmission was Taylor giving the order that all 5 planes should ditch in the water at the same time. The planes were never found. Adding to this tragedy, a search plane exploded in the air while searching for Flight 19. Both Flight 19's disappearance and the search plane's explosion remain unexplained to this day. Number 6 is SSL Faro. The SSL Faro was a huge 240-meter-long cargo ship which departed from Jacksonville, Florida in September of 2015. The ship was carrying 33 crew along with 390 shipping containers and 290 vehicles. As the ship entered the Bermuda Triangle, a large storm front swept into the area. However, a ship this large should have been able to contend with such storms, which are common to that region. The malevolence of the triangle soon made itself known as the storm was transformed into a Category 3 hurricane. The captain of the SSL Faro sent a message to land saying that they had lost power and that they were taking on some water and that they had everything contained and under control. After that, the radio fell silent. Subsequent scans of the open water show that the ship is now sitting in darkness on the ocean floor and even looks intact. Number 5 is the USS Cyclops. America has created one of the most powerful navies in human history. But this military and technological might is nothing compared to the insidious powers at the heart of the Bermuda Triangle. Case in point is the disappearance of the USS Cyclops. In 1918, the Cyclops disappeared while traveling between the West Indies and Baltimore. At the time, it was the largest ship in the US Navy and feared by any foolish enough to do battle with it. With over 300 people on board, the Cyclops sent its last message from deep within the triangle. It simply said, "Weather fair, all well." Like many triangle disappearances, whatever happened to the Cyclops stopped her crew from ever sending an SOS. The official report by the US Navy ended by saying, "The disappearance of this ship has been one of the most baffling mysteries in the annals of the Navy." Number 4 is the unknown light. Not all Bermuda Triangle mysteries revolve around strange disappearances. There are other bizarre puzzles out there in the depths still waiting to be explained. One of the most interesting is the mystery of the unknown light. Throughout the history of the Bermuda Triangle, many sailors and aircraft pilots have been dazzled by a strange spectral light which appears both above and underneath the water. Many have connected the strange lights to UFO phenomena. The most famous witness to this was Christopher Columbus himself. In 1942, Columbus and his crew sailed through the triangle and saw an earthly light spinning in the sky above, and what looked like a gigantic candlelight floating up and down the surface of the sea, where there could be no fire. What this light is, no one knows, but seafaring myths say it appears before disaster. Number 3 is DC-3. The 1940s was the first decade where the world began to truly tremble at the thought of passing through what some have called the Devil's Triangle. Since the disappearance of DC-3 flight 50 miles from Miami in 1948, investigators have attempted to find any wreckage which could explain what happened to the plane. The last message sent by the plane was by the pilot Robert Lindquist, who asked ground control for some landing instructions. After that, the radio went silent. What's so mysterious about this case is that it involved a bizarre radio anomaly. The message that Robert Lindquist sent was not received by Miami, but instead was heard over 600 miles away in New Orleans. This has led many to contemplate the strange space-bending properties of the airspace above the triangle, and some suggesting that the triangle contains a tear in reality. Number 2 is the Great Isaac Lighthouse. Most people associate the Bermuda Triangle with what happens to those traveling through its air and water. However, there are reports of bizarre instances on land inside the triangle as well. The best example of this is the Great Isaac Lighthouse mystery. On August 4th, 1969, the Great Isaac Lighthouse on a small island in the Bahamas was found to have been recently abandoned. It should have been manned by 2 lighthouse keepers, but both had vanished during a storm. A number of other strange occurrences have been documented there, including unusual sounds which are heard during a full moon, and the apparition of a shipwreck victim known as the Grey Lady, who is said to haunt the island looking for her child. The infant was alive and well and was taken from the shipwreck to a safe location, but the apparition is said to wail and scream regardless. And number 1 is the Sulphur Queen's disappearance. The disappearance of the SS Marine Sulphur Queen remains one of the most controversial Bermuda Triangle mysteries in history. At the time of its disappearance in 1963, it was carrying 39 crewmen and a huge cargo of molten sulfur. After a search for the ship, only a few pieces of innocuous debris were found at first, but eventually 2 life preservers were discovered. Investigators concluded that the life preservers had been worn by 2 sailors. Not only that, but one man had a man's shirt tied to it. The shirt had large tears across it, and the only explanation was that a large predatory fish had attacked the sailor. However, some believe that the Bermuda Triangle contains far greater monsters than sharks in its depths, and that the Sulphur Queen was pulled underwater by something hideous and as of yet unknown to modern science. But as always, thank you very much for watching, and thank you for subscribing to my channel. And a very special thank you to all of my channel members, especially the names you see on your screen right now. All of you help keep my channel going. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next video.